Thank you guys for being here. Really excited about VR and 360 video. Wanted to come today with a new project that we're doing. Like Nancy said, we have American Ghost Towns on Samsung VR. This is a piece we did with the National Park Service on a place called Scotty's Castle, which is the national treasure up there in Death Valley National Park. It was actually damaged last year in a flash flood, which it's going to take 2 years plus to repair it. So they reached out to us and said, hey, we want a virtual tour. We're interested in doing some VR kiosks in the visitor center. We really want you guys to come up here and film it. So we went up there, we took a look, and we said, yeah, there's plenty here historically that we can talk about. There's plenty here visually. I mean, everything is handcrafted in there. They're meticulous about keeping people from touching things. So even while we were filming, we had multiple park rangers with white gloves on staring at us and being like, don't stand there and be careful not to touch this. And so they really take really good care of this place, and we wanted to do a really good service to them by creating a piece to sort of raise awareness and to raise funds for the repair of the castle. So this is one of the most spectacular rooms in Scotty's Castle, and before we went up there to shoot, we did a location scout. My producing partner, Ted Fay, and I went up there along with our gaffer, Roger Mindy, and we looked at it and we said, all right, there's no power here. The power is out, and we really need to figure out, our settings, how we're going to shoot this, if we're going to need to add additional light, and how we're going to do that. And so we did several ISO tests in there, and we found that there were some really dark corners with serious underexposure. You can look at the roof. There were some issues in the ceiling as well. And we decided that we don't want to bring a generator and try to run cables up through those windows like you normally would on a film shoot. Instead, we're going to have to rely on battery-powered LED lights that have bicolor functionality. So that way we can actually adjust the color temperature to match the light coming in the windows. And so that's exactly what we did. And the whole challenge was to do this invisibly without touching anything, without damaging anything. So it was quite challenging to do that. But I'm going to scroll through some of this and sort of share with you how you can actually place lights in 360. Because a lot of people ask me, well, can you light in VR? And I'm like, absolutely. The degree of difficulty depends on what exactly you're doing, if things are crossing through the plane, etc. But a basic removal of a light is very, very simple and very effective in terms of bringing up the exposure in areas that are darker and underexposed. So let's go into this real quick. I'm going to do a little reveal and show you. So this is where we ended up with. This is where you want to be at the end, is sort of like this. But I'm going to show you the steps that we took to get there. Oh, it's locked. Here we go. I'm locking it for safety. Okay, there we go. So essentially what we do is, I'm going to do a little reveal here. I'm going to turn off some of these layers so you can see where the light is. And if I get down a little bit, don't mind me. I just want to get into this. So as you can see, we have a light placed right here, and the whole primary reason for that is so that I can illuminate this area right here, because in the voiceover for the piece, the park ranger that's doing the narration is describing this organ. She's describing all of the music and the keys and all of the handcrafted ceiling and all of the detail that's in there. And the problem was that we couldn't see it. And so I had to bring a light in, and I was like, all right, here's what we're going to do. Roger, I'm going to have you set this light carefully in here. We're going to shoot this scene as is, and we're all going to go hide. So literally, you can see us in the footage right here. Here, I'll hide this for now. Get rid of it. Lock. Get away. All right. So we went and hid, and then we came back, and as you can see, right about here, we're back in the room. There's me, there's my Uncle Ted, there's Roger the gaffer going for the light. Very carefully, Roger. Don't mess it up. Don't touch anything. We can't move the frame, right? So Roger goes and he pulls the light out of there, and you immediately see the drop in exposure. Immediately see the ceiling goes black. You immediately see just how dark it really is in there with no electricity. So, then we scrambled again and hid so that we could get this clean plate. And so the challenge really wasn't taking the light out, but it was making the light justifiable. So sort of, the key to lighting in 360 is having your source be justified. And so that's why I specifically had Roger go over here and place this light right beside this window over here, so that the light was coming from the exact same direction. And so a lot of people are saying, well, why can't you just do, secondary color correction? Why can't you do a power window up there and then a little power window over there? Which is a legitimate question. Sure, you could do that, but there are small, finite details that you get from actually placing a physical light into a place. And one of those details is right here. Now, if you look closely, and you can see this a lot better with the headset on. And I'm going to show you the mask that I did to get this out. But if you look at this little area right here, there's some dings. There's a ding right there. Here, let me do this. There's a ding coming from the window right there, and there's a ding coming from this light right here. I don't want this one, but I do want this one because my eye is telling me that this is motivated by this. And I think the secret to lighting in 360 is to make sure that your source is coming from the same place as a visible light source. So I went ahead and masked that out, and you can see right there, whoa, hey now. I still have this ding right there. I'm gonna unlock these so I can actually get into this mask a little bit for you. Let's go right here. Uh-oh, left click. Sorry, I've been on Windows, so I'm trying to make the jump back real quick. This is, oh, here we go. Yeah, let's get into these masks. Here, I'm gonna move this up. Ooh. Okay. What happened? Where are we? Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna lock this, go back to this guy. And you can see my mask right here. So on this particular layer, if you zoom in, you can see that this one primarily controls the ceiling, but there's also a mask right here that's taking care of that light. You guys see that? Hang on. Okay. Where are we? Take this off, take that off. Take that off. Our light's back. Okay. So you can see if you move this mask right here. Whoa, sorry, Windows. Okay. Zoom in. Okay, there we go. That's the hotkey to get back. V. Okay. So I can take this, and you see if I just masked the light out, if I was really tight with this and brought it in, there's going to be a surefire tell that there's light because there's a lot of spill coming out of the edge of that, which is what I don't want. I'm trying to illuminate this area over here. I'm trying to illuminate the ceiling. So with my mask, I had to make sure that I extended it far enough away so that the light naturally fell off. You can sort of see the difference. If you try to make it too tight, you're going to have all kinds of crazy spills. So really, the key is to extend it, and it'll sort of, and feather it also. Make sure you add lots of feathers. So you can see down here in my masks, this particular mask right here, I have, what is it, 43. 43 points of feathering right there. Oh, don't do that. Bring it back. Yikes. Sorry. Ooh. You get the drift. So essentially, that's what we did to get that light out of there. And then the ceiling as well right there. Let's go to a full fit so you can see it. The light coming out of there wasn't an issue, but making sure that the ceiling didn't look crazy overexposed was the second issue we had to deal with right there. So we put additional masks up top to get rid of that and to sort of bring it down and lower the opacity so that it looked more natural, so that it's not just, okay, there's a window, but now there's a huge bright ceiling. You don't want the viewer's eyes to be drawn to the ceiling necessarily, so that's why I added this mask right here. So if you turn that off, you can see how bright that gets right there. It's a little bit unnatural. You know, you can tell that these windows are kind of frosted. The light right here looks sort of like it's harsh, like it's from an LED, because it is. And so the key to that was sort of just adding another mask from the darker part, from the plate, and then lowering the opacity. So that way it's still there, but it looks more natural. And so these are little picky things. I mean, I could have just left it alone. Same thing with this. You know, a lot of people say, well, is stitching hard? Well, stitching is hard, but you know what's not hard is compositing. Compositing is a lot easier. It's a lot less processor intensive, so I'm not going to sit there and mess with stitching and try to get an issue like that fixed, because inherently I'm going to mess up something else by doing that, and it's going to take forever for me to get a perfect stitch. It doesn't exist. You know, this is a flawed science right now just based on the camera systems that we're using. But that's the power of SkyBox Studio. With SkyBox Studio, I know no matter what I shoot, no matter how crazy the situation is, I'm going to be able to take that thing and get my my Wacom tablet. Shout out to Wacom, yeah, and then get busy on that pen real quick, and then everything's good. So I think, you know, in terms of workflow, I think SkyBox Studio is really something that gives me the confidence to know that, hey, no matter what, I'm going to be able to get in there and paint, and I'd rather get in there and paint than get in there and try to stitch all day. You know what I mean? And that's just another thing that I do, is I sort of try to make sure that I create an environment that's as immersive as possible, because for me, looking down and seeing a tripod shadow, seeing those sorts of things, it takes me out of the experience a little bit, a lot of it actually. It makes me feel like this is not real, when the whole point of virtual reality is to make it feel real. So I take it very seriously. If it takes me an extra 2-3 weeks to sit on a shot and to make sure that every single thing is perfect, then that's what I got to do, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as the experience is believable, I feel like. And so I want to make the most believable experience, and I want to transport people to Scotty's Castle. So there's a couple things in this shot that, and I'll pull up the masks. I think I have like 7 total masks you can look at. And I won't go through all the minutia of this, because I really want to get into placing 2D objects. But you can even see on this, like, it's a really slight thing. But that little edge right there made a difference to me, to the point where I went in there and penciled it out, you know, and shaped it up nicely. So it just really depends on your own level of, I don't know, ADD. But I get a little crazy in there sometimes. So any questions about the light removal, or just about, you know, lighting in general? I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Yeah. All right, cool. So then I brought another file. This room is called the music room. There's another room that's very spectacular. It's called the Great Hall. And this room was different because we had a separate set of challenges. It was also, obviously there's no power at Scotty's Castle right now, so lighting was an issue again. But me and Roger figured it out. And so I'm going to show you a little bit from the Great Hall. So the first thing I want to show you from the Great Hall is the main room. Ah, there we go. Spectacular place. You got all kinds of light pouring in through the windows. Beautiful sort of chandelier, so it would appear, but really there was tons of errors and issues with this shot. So let me show you some of them. I'll reveal what exactly we had to do to get this thing going. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. Mask City. Masks all over the place. That's not a perfect shot. VR is not about perfection. It's about the perception of perfection, right? It's like magicians. It's like magic. It's like nothing is perfect, but as long as people believe the illusion of it, and that's what matters. So for this, there were several issues that I had to go in and deal with. In particular, with this nice chandelier here, there was a lot of painting involved. You can look in and see some of the issues, right? Let's get in there deep. There we go. Let me go full resolution so you can see everything a little bit clearer. Okay, so obviously there's some ghosting issues. There's some double imagery right there. Thank God I was able to use SkyBox Studio and go in there and clean up those issues real quick. Round of applause for Mettle SkyBox Studio, ladies. I mean, look at that. That's a nightmare in VR. It might not look like a bad thing now, but you're in a headset. You're in a VR headset. Let me tell you, the last thing you want to see is some kind of crazy nonsense on top of your chandelier. It's not fair, and it's not right to the audience. I think you should pride yourself in removing those things and taking care of your viewers. So here we go. So here's how we do that. What am I doing? Okay, yeah. So there was tons of issues in here, starting with this shadow. So I know that we're putting a nadir patch down with the logo on it from the National Park Service. That's a done deal. However, this little shadow right here is going to cause an issue. So obviously I had to export and paint that out. Got rid of that nicely. That helps the image out. What else do we do? We just went through and made all these fixes. Okay, so once you get to this point, you guys have already seen that. You make the fixes, you clean it up. Now the next part that I want to show you is adding the 2D video, because in this room in particular, there is an area, because you've got these nice verticals, you've got this nice chandelier here, but then behind here you've got this fireplace. And so we had this historical documentary footage of this actual room from the early 1900s in the same environment where you're actually able to see the fireplace, and you're actually able to see Albert Johnson and Walter Scott in this environment where they used to entertain people. And so I wanted to introduce that footage, and I wanted to place it in a place where it would be sort of exciting. So there was this big area right here in the fireplace that I wanted to just go ahead and throw up a video in. And so I did that, and I'm going to show you SkyBox Converter now, because that's exactly how we did this. Hopefully it's in here. Yes. Okay, cool. So once you get this, you want to go up here and you want to do composition. You want to go file. So this is, I call these launch files because these are the last things I do before I launch into Extractor. You can call them whatever you want to, but basically that's the process. Is you go in, you clean up everything, you get it to where you want, and then you start introducing 2D elements into it. So that's where I got the Extractor. You get Extractor, it gives you an output module as well as an edit and a preview module. So I'm going to take this resolution down to half so this runs a little quicker. I'm going to get rid of these old things because we're done with that now. And I also found that by adding the logo on the ground in that last step of Extractor, it actually comes out a little bit more high resolution than if I add it in the launch step. So that's just a little tip that I learned from doing it, is just save the addition of graphics and text till the end, and then you're going to have a sharper output. So this is where we added the window. Let's go right here. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Uh-oh. There we go. So as you can see right here, and I'll pull it up in the preview so you can see it a little bit better. There is all right, we're going to go third on this guy, and we'll go third on this guy, and then we'll go fit. Okay, cool. So once you jump into your preview window, you hit the C key, and that allows you to pan around and actually look where you're placing things, which is a really cool feature because, you know, unless you have a Rift, which I do, but sometimes you don't want to put on the headset. Sometimes you just want to be able to eyeball it until you get to that point where you're ready to do it. But this is great because you're able to actually see and line things up the way you want them right here. So that's where I wanted to put that 2D content right there. And the way we go about doing that is, let me close the preview module, and I'm going to get into my very favorite part, which is the edit module. So you want to make sure you put this on custom view 1 so you see that actual box. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, this is the secret sauce of virtual reality right here, this cube. Because what you can do with this is you can basically break apart the foundations of your reality. You can basically pull the roof off of the place, pull the walls off of the place, Shazam! All of a sudden, you are like the wizard behind the curtain, and you're seeing everything, and you're able to place logos. It's spectacular. Here, let me show you. This is my favorite thing to do. Let's see. I'm going to scroll down right here, and oh, perfect. Look at that. So now I'm able to really swing this thing around, and I'm going to jump in. Oh, yeah, let's get in there. So also the C key, if you hit it again a couple times, it has a couple different options. Whoa, careful now. Careful now. Whoa. Hey. Hey now. Oh, whoa. Wait a second. All right. Here we go. Let's get that C key again. All right. So I'm going to move it up and down with that. You hit C again. Now you have a little in and out so you can raise it up and shrink it. So what you want to do for this is basically I want to turn the back wall back on. I want to take the front wall off. And I'm going to swing this around so I can actually see my 2D asset chilling right there on top of the fireplace where I wanted it. No, I'm good because I have the drive plugged into the thing, but thank you though. This is actually really easy right here, guys. If you just want to throw in 2D video, the easiest thing in the world. Import that stuff, sit it right there. You have full control over it. I can move it on the Z-axis right there. I can get it closer to you. I can move it further away. I can come down, swing it down like this. I can move it left to right. It's spectacular what you're able to do. It's just like, it's easy peasy. It's like there's no reason not to add 2D video all over the place, which is what I do. I'm just like, are you kidding me? I can put 2D video everywhere. I can replace an entire wall with 2D video or even 3D video maybe, right? Like it doesn't even matter. You can do whatever you want to. If I want to throw the roof back on and look at this low angle real quick and just see how it's going to roughly look, I can do that too. No mail. No mail. No mail. Cancel. All right. Here we go. Oh yeah, so you can throw the roof on. You can zoom back out. Here, let's just go to a full widescreen so you can sort of see what we're working with here. And I can also add that logo in. Where's that logo? Let's go ahead and add that National Park Service logo on the floor. Like I said before, it looks better and it's higher resolution if you do it in this step. Sometimes I put it in the other step too, just so that way I have a reference and I remind myself to do that. But the introduction of graphics, text, 2D video, anything should be done in the extractor. That's the power of it, and it's fantastic. Any questions?
Pound 5.